Hello everyone, welcome to Career Mantras, the channel which discusses the intricacies of the corporate world and suggests ways to navigate the corporate maze. I'm your host RK, and today we have a topic that's of interest for most managers, at least those in the 30s. How tech a manager should be. Let's delve into the topic in the coming sections. Picture this. It's night 8 p.m. and most of the lights in your office is probably darkened and you are alone in a conference room with the lights on. You are attending the call with your North American clients, probably an architect from their side, and you don't have anybody from your side. He continuously complains about the code written by the developers not following the basic principles like writing tests. For half an hour, you are just at the receiving end, giving some lame excuses and not being able to answer anything. The call ends. You are completely dejected and maybe angry and pick up the phone to shout at the lead developer. He is also helpless and gives more reasons to frustrate you. Adding to all this frustration, you develop an angst and you go to the cafeteria to sip a cup of hot tea or coffee. And then the question automatically comes up from the bottom of your heart. How better it would have been if I was a techie and not a PM? This question comes up in many of our situations. The reason I had this section was to say that it's a wrong question to ask. Maybe it is useful theoretically and analytically to explore this question, but this is not going to make a major difference to your management career. So, what is the most important question you should ask? Or, if not the most, one of the most important questions to ask? If not that, what is the one of the most important questions that, if you ask, could make a difference in your career? How tech a manager should be? This is a very important question in your career. You may think that I'm just a manager, I'm dealing with the planning, the release planning, the estimation, the tracking, the escalations, the risk management, the proposals. That is my forte, that is my strength. Why the hell should I know the tech? That's the job of the tech lead. Am I having an unnecessary monkey on my back? These are all the valid questions that you might have in your mind. Hold on for the next section where we address why a manager should be having a technical knowledge to manage his or her projects efficiently. A note here. By tech, I'm not restricting only to the tech. It also could include a domain like a banking or a finance domain's knowledge also here. Let's move to the next section. The next topic we're going to see is why do you want to be aware of tech? There are 7 reasons why you need to be aware of tech. Number 1, survival with Gen Z. Today's Gen Z generation wants to connect with their managers. They want to work closely with them and they resist authority. If you have to work with Gen Z generation, it's important that you understand and value their work, which means that you need to understand their technology with which they are working. Conscious control. As a manager, it's very important that you control the cost, quality, and levers. Just blindly questioning using authority or using cheap techniques does not work. For example, if you're migrating to cloud or to a microservices architecture, it is very important to understand what this technology brings into value and try to question the value in terms of their costs. Number 3, contribution. If you have to contribute effectively to proposals or the programs, it is important that you understand what is the value of the tech, even if you don't understand the intricacies of the tech, but the high level of that value provided by, let's say, a Gen AI or maybe a microservices or a cloud is important to understand. Number 4, empathetic challenge. Quite often, it is important that we have to challenge the estimates given by the developers or the quality analysts. Blindly questioning them and asking them to cut estimates does not work. It is important to understand the parameters of the tech which can be tuned and which can be challenged in that. Number 5, systems view. When you work in a program or an enterprise, you will come across multiple systems, be it CRM, be it billing, or be it a middleware. It is important to understand what is the parameters with which these systems can be tuned. What is the plus and minus of each systems? Where do they fail? And what kind of functional requirements and non-functional requirements can be realized with them? That gives you a holistic view of the system that you're going to build. Number 6, business to tech impact. Quite often, there will come a situation where you might want to put a business case for the new tech migration or a transformation. It is important to understand how a technology change will cause a disruption in the business so that you can articulate the value much better. Seventh, and definitely the most important one, in a crowded environment with a lot of competition, it is important to differentiate yourself. If you have a very good technology of the system you're building, it creates a lot of differentiation if all things are equal. Having understood why you want to know the tech, we will move into how much of the tech you want to know. On one hand, you can just know the very basic jargons of the tech. On the other hand, you could go into a stage where you will probably even master a language. Both the extremes are not very useful. You need a definite purpose of defining how much the tech you want to know. For this, you need to refer the why part of it. We can divide this into three layers. One is what's universal, meaning the basics of technology which you should know across any paradigm. So, for example, you should know the three-tier architecture, the basics, very basics around the microservices, the very basics around the architecture for CODs or the off-the-shelf products. Those are universal ones. And then there is something which is very specific to your project. For example, if you are managing a Siebel or a Salesforce implementation, it is important to understand what are the different components of the Siebel or a Salesforce system, what it will do and what it cannot do. This will help you to manage your projects efficiently and be very participative. And most importantly, you need to be chameleon, meaning in some cases you may want to go in depth, in some cases you want to go breadth. That is very, very essential to understand how much of the tech you want to know, which is crucial to meet the why part of how much tech. Now we will see how can you get the tech knowledge. Some simple methods by which you can get it. Number one, the ubiquitous one, YouTube videos. If you search for any topics plus basic concepts, you are going to get a video which is of 15 minutes which you can go through. That's the easiest one to start with. Now, if you want to go little more, then pick up a basic course for each paradigm. So, for example, if it's microservices, you can pick up the most basic course which has 1 or 2 hour content in it. If it's about Salesforce or Siebel, the similar way. If it's about design patterns, just try to understand one basic course which will tell you what are the different design patterns and the uses of it. If you want to go a level up, you can pick up a book, for example, on cloud computing, and at least read the first 2 chapters of that paradigm. And also maybe skim through the next of the chapters so that you feel comfortable with some of the basic concepts in it. My personal favorite is, in fact, to pair with your tech lead. When you have a conversation with your tech lead and try to understand the landscape of a particular paradigm or a technology, you feel your confidence goes up and your tech lead also understands that you're empathetic to him or her. Now, in your journey to acquire tech knowledge, there are some things which you have to watch out. When you acquire tech knowledge by taking some courses or reading through the materials, one of the risks that you might encounter is that an illusionary knowledge that you've become very tech and you will start questioning things which you really don't know and you're not confident about. On one hand, knowing the tech is good, but trying to use the tech as though you're an expert is never good. That's the one-eyed king or queen you might become. Second, grass is on the greener on the other side, which means that once you start learning tech and start making some knowledge headways, you may start feeling that the people management or the project management is less attractive, and you start wishing that you had become a tech expert at some point in time. That creates more chaos. The essential 30s question, oh, should I have been a techie instead? Is a wrong question to ask, and maybe you will get into an illusion or a delusion of acquiring minimal tech knowledge and assuming that you are an expert. Be careful about it. Again, to summarize, it is useful to have a tech knowledge because you need to be relevant, you need to differentiate yourself, and you need to be empathetic to the people who work in technology. And you can acquire tech in many ways using the YouTube videos or the basic courses. And ensure that you have the watchouts in terms of not getting biased towards tech and forgetting your project management basics. So we are coming to the end, and if you like this video, please do like and subscribe and share it with your friends, and share your feedback in the comments. Until we meet next time, thank you folks.